What's your name? What characters do you play, and how long you've been playing BlazBlue?
Hello, my name is Ruka. I'm a BlazBlue player in the PNW area. I play both S and Kagura in BlazBlue, and I've been playing BlazBlue for about 2009, so it's been 12-ish years now, coming up on 13. So I've been playing for a while. So I'm going to explain to you guys why you should maybe be interested in picking up Kagura. Kagura is kind of a weird character in this game. He's kind of your mix between a character that has traditional charges like Sonic Boom and a Flash Kick, but he also has stances, which each have their own set of moves that you can take advantage of. But his biggest thing that kind of defines him is a character that's based around taking you to the corner and running his mix-up and doing a lot of damage.
Why would somebody play Kagura?
Kagura is pretty cool in the sense that he's a character that has one of the highest average damage outputs in the game. So if he touches you, you're almost guaranteed to at least eat 2.5k when he touches you, if not more. And he's also a character that has relatively strong Oki with relatively high conversions and corner carry. And so he feels very rewarding when you get to play him and then make the good reads and good mix-up options.
Okay, what are his weaknesses as a character compared to the rest of the roster?
One of the things he kind of lacks compared to other stronger characters in the game is he doesn't have a very strong neutral presence. So a lot of his neutral kind of revolves around him throwing fireballs full screen, air-to-airing people with JA, JC, and then 6B. And he can't really fight characters in between his 5C, 2C range and his 6B range. So if there's any character that can kind of like challenge him within that range, he'll usually kind of struggle.
Okay, where do you think he goes in the meta, I guess, compared to the rest of the roster?
So in the meta, how it kind of works is a lot of the stronger characters in the game typically have either a really strong full screen presence or can like close the gap and effectively begin their churn really quickly. And the issue with Kagura is that he has a hard time challenging people at the ranges he needs to, also closing that gap effectively without taking any inherent risk. That's where he kind of falls flat against a lot of the stronger characters that have kind of like the similar range as he does, but his buttons are naturally slower, which make them hard.
Can you show me, I guess, what are the moves that you're going to be using a lot in neutral, and then what are some of the good normals that he'd be using in the air?
So on the ground, a lot of your full screen pokes are going to revolve around using 5C, 2C, and these are going to be like your kind of full screen pokes, but kind of be wary of these as these can be easily instant air dashed over and punished. But you're going to be kind of like trying to challenge them at spaces you feel like the opponent's coming in at.
Mm-hmm.
And then full screen, if you have the chance, you want to throw as many fireballs as you can to keep your opponent busy and coming at you. So when you throw out the fireballs, just kind of hold your down charge as well. So as soon as you recover, you can do the anti-air flash kick, which is B Fafner. So if they ever try to jump over the fireball, you usually have enough time to get them out of their air approach with it.
And then, as far as the space that he wants to be at, where do you think you need to be at screen most of the time?
His ideal range is like when he's right here within his 5B and 2 or 8 range. And so this is where he could kind of get like things started, and then he could kind of get his pressure and mix-ups like going. Because at that range where he can start doing a lot of his like command grab, he can start doing his stance overhead, just leading to a lot of hits that have a lot of corner carrying, bring you closer to the corner where he wants you to be.
You said that you want to push him into the corner pretty much at any cost, but like, why is that so important for Kagura compared to other characters?
For Kagura as a character, once he gets an opponent to the corner, that's where he gets to really shine as a character and kind of start his vortex of like mix-up options he has. So what's nice is as soon as he gets an opponent to the corner, all you have to do is this flash kick, dash up 5B, and then that 5B right there will check all of their tech options. So if they try to roll, they try to delay tech, it'll catch that and then lead into another combo that does about almost 4k back into that situation. Yeah, so in the situation where you don't tech, it leads into a situation similar to this.
Yeah, you pretty much just die.
Yeah, so you end up eating a lot of damage, and then like it resets the whole situation all over again. And then what's nice too is if they immediately tech, you have enough time to melee with 5B as well. So once the opponent has been conditioned to kind of tech the 5B and block it and worry about it, it creates like additional situations where you can go into 5B, into the command grab. You can start doing things like 5B into the overhead and just a variety of different options which all lead into very damaging situation with the right amount of reward. And then on top of that is like, it also conditions them for like additional mix-ups as well. So for example, so once you've kind of conditioned your opponent not to tack out of the corner and not delay tack, you're able to do safe jumps, which leads to additional mix-ups. So like one thing is you'll just simply do like your button into the low. And then what's nice is you can also hold your charge during this jump so you can do a double overhead.
Yeah, that's cool.
And so it just kind of leads into a variety of different mix-ups.
Okay, so that's pretty much, I guess, when he gets you in the corner, you just have to take whatever. And if you guess wrong on like one of these, it looks like you actually just lose.
Yeah, so he's a character that will ideally, if he gets to touch you with like the correct buttons, he should be able to kill you within 2.5 combos.
We didn't even explain what his gimmick is with the drive stance. If you want to talk about that really quick.
Kagura, as mentioned before, has 3 different stances, which have their each corresponding drive. So he has his 5D, where it looks like this, his 6D, and his 2D. And so each of these drives have 3 different moves associated with them. So for example, your 5D stance, the big tool you'll kind of see out of outside combo filler is the command grab. So like it's relatively fast, does good damage, and has good carry when you have it mid-screen as well. And then off his low stance, you have his overhead, which does a good amount of damage itself. And then this traveling low hitting move, what we kind of nicknamed the surfboard and things like that. He has those to kind of like mix up his game. So if you have a condition your opponent to block low, condition your opponent to block high, you have those options as well. For his 60 stance, these are most of his moves that he's going to be traveling when using them. So a common one you'll see a lot is this one, this Wyvern.
That's the like we played neutral for 3 seconds. Time to swing.
So this button covers a good chunk of the screen, and what's kind of unique about it in BlazBlue is it's a move that has guard point on projectiles. You can just kind of guard point through it and go through it, and then this usually leads into a nice counter hit scenario, which leads into more carry. And so those are kind of his more notable drive moves he has.
And then, do you want to talk about his DP and his fireball, how they work really quick too?
So his fireballs are kind of unique as well, as they gain further, not frame advantage, but more hits as they travel. So if the opponent blocks it up close, the A1 is only going to be 1 hit. But if they block it from full screen, it's going to be 3 to 4 hits. And same goes for the B1. So the B1 up close is going to be 2 hits. So I think if he travels full screen, like it'll sit there for a while as well. Yeah, and so what you typically want is like when you throw these out, you kind of encourage your opponent to jump at you and like take inherent risk with the jump, and then that's where your flash kicks comes into play. Then you start anti-airing them and things like that. So he has 2 different flash kicks. I should have mentioned that as well. He has an anti-air specific one, which has head invul in frame 1, and then he has a reversal one, which is invul frame 1 as well, but it's full body. And what's kind of cool about the reversal one, which is the C flash kick, so if you're in the corner and your opponent has you pressured or anything like that and you do the flash kick, you can change the situation rather quickly like this and then begin your offense. And there you go.
Yeah, and that goes back into that situation we talked about earlier. After that, I guess, what kind of block strings would you go for with him?
So his block strings are relatively short. His block strings would primarily consist of you using 2A and then a mix of 5B, 2B, or like 5BB, 5B, 2B, 6B, and things like that. And so it's relatively just based around those 3 buttons. But the real kicker of his pressure is when he gets the opponent to block this knee move right here is where he kind of gets to instill the worry of like mix up on his opponent. So when they block this knee here, he has several different options. When you block the knee, it creates a, for lack of a better term, a pseudo 50-50. And so in this situation, when he blocks the knee, you can go low with 3C, or if you're charging while doing the knee, you can go for an instant overhead as well. There's a small bit of a gap between the knee and the overhead, and unless you IB, I don't believe there is a gap between 6B and 3C. So it's relatively strong in that sense. And if you're in a situation where your opponent's kind of looking out for and they might overdrive through it, or you think they're going to reversal through it, you always have the option to just knee and then jump back because it's jump cancelable. And if you don't want to commit to anything and possibly reset your turn, you could just jump cancel with 6B and come down with JB, JC, and kind of start all over again. And then what's nice is when you kind of have your opponent like worrying about like dealing with the knee move itself, you can start incorporating like other things. So like on top of that, you can just do 2A, 5B into like command grab. So that gets a more jumpier, so which leads into situations where you can frame trap with 6B or 5BB and catch their jump start up. And then on top of that is you also have like your stance overhead as well, So it's a lot of like conditioning with that. And then the other option where you can go about it too as well is like if you're trying to kind of maintain momentum, what you can do is cheekier ways of resetting your turn is if involve the use of 2C and 5C in your pressure. You can go for things like this.
Oh, yeah, that
and
makes
things
sense.
like that.
That's cool.
When you block the A orb in that scenario, it leaves you plus. And so you can kind of just like take your turn back like this and then go about mixing up your stances as necessary or your C normals as necessary as well for your mix up.
Okay, well that's dope. Do you want to go over just like some really basic combo conversions off of like common stuff?
So a lot of his mid-screen combos are primarily going to be consisting in you taking your opponent as much of the corner as possible. You have 5 BB and you commit to 3C. Most of your combo is going to look something like that. But then if you're aware of like you can get a better combo, you can always lead into something like this.
Man. And then you're in that perfect situation again.
And then another one that's kind of important, he's pretty good about side swapping when necessary. So if like you're at this point in the screen, you're like, okay, I'm close enough where I can put them back in the corner. You can begin your turn from this position as well. So let's say in this scenario, you're there, we can do something like this.
I like that you put me like more mid-screen and then you that I got put in the corner anyway. Yeah, it looks so goofy.
It's just the nature of how his moves travel. So off command grab, most times mid-screen, you're just gonna go into the Wyvern move into the surfboard. So it's gonna typically look something like that. So a relatively simple combo you could do with him in the corner with his command grab, something like this.
I like that that's a simple combo and it's like almost 4K.
Yeah, that's kind of the nice thing about it is like a lot of his simpler stuff will also always do damage as well, which is nice about him. 2 in the corner, most of the time with 2 in the corner, you'll probably do something like this.
And then, yeah.
And there you go.
Cool.
One thing to note for up and coming like Kagura players is one thing that's kind of asked a lot, and it's unfortunately there's not like an easy answer to it, is a lot of people ask how do you go about doing this knee move 6B into the instant overhead, and unfortunately there isn't really a trick to it. You just kind of have to slide the 9 directional input as soon as possible, and then that's how you get it. So like.
Yeah, you just gotta you have to practice it.
Yeah, exactly. There's unfortunately not like a simple trick to it. Just something you just have to practice.
Well, is there anything else you want to say about him that you don't think we've covered?
So one thing is, don't be surprised that you're facing a lot of situations you don't know how to go about his neutral, as his neutral's kind of relatively awkward. And it's a lot of like testing and learning what works for what scenarios, and unfortunately he doesn't have a set of neutral that works against everybody. You kind of have to play it by ear and kind of approach each one differently as necessary. So just take your time and don't get too frustrated playing him. He's a relatively, I'd say, kind of weird character in BlazBlue.
I know, isn't that weird? Like, I thought he was supposed to be a beginner character, and then he ended up being really awkward.
Yeah.
It's like weird that it turned out that way. Okay, I just want to say thank you a whole bunch for helping me today and showing me Kagura. It really means a lot. Yeah, I guess people can follow you at PNW Ruka, right?
Yep.
And thank you a whole bunch. Bye.
Thanks for having me.
Yep.
Take care.